had a conversation with a young man several years ago that changed my perspective and the trajectory of my life. No one would have ever believed that this young man, popular, athletic, healthy young man, was on the brink of depression. No one would have ever even believed that even though he was the first male to graduate in his family with a college degree, he was fighting the ideal of being a failure. No one, I'm like, for real, like, even none of you guys, would have ever even imagined that this guy who was really a somebody felt as if he was a nobody. Ladies and gentlemen, that somebody was me. During this time of my life, the love of my life, the woman of my dreams, my boo thing, she left me standing at the altar. And I can just tell already, just the way some of you guys are looking, y'all are just surprised, and you're asking yourself, now how could something like that happen to a dude that looked that good? I know, but it did happen. It did happen. And that occurrence pushed me to the precipice of self-doubt and depression. See, over 22 years ago, I was at a crossroad in my life. Up until that point, I had spent half of my life in this relationship that I thought was genuine. Like any other relationship, we had our ups, we had our downs, but we were in love. I mean, she was responsible for keeping me out of trouble, and she was also responsible for providing me with refuge and solace. Now, on the other hand, she did also provide me with about 2 broken bones and some subcutaneous bruises. Sometimes I felt like she was Ike and I was Tina, but I still loved her. But unfortunately, on November the 18th of 1998, she told me that I was no longer compatible for her. Now, ain't that something? She tells me that I'm no longer compatible for her. And so she walked away. Now here it is, I spent the next 10 years trying to fill a void that was once an amorous affair. And I failed at it, and I failed, and I failed some more. Many of you know who she is. Many of you have met her at least once in your life, and you'll be very surprised. Probably didn't even know she was that trifling. Because years later, I bumped into her, and she told me that I was not the only one she had did that to. I bumped into a few other guys who also said that they were going through the same thing with the same lady. Many of you have met her. You know who she is. Her name is football. See, there was a study that was done in an article of Applied Sports Psychology that says that the end of an athlete's career is marked by major life transitions. These transitions can be associated with interpersonal relationship changes, daily routines, and roles. All of those things were affected with this breakup. My interpersonal relationships, my roles, and my daily routines. It wasn't until I accepted where I was that I was able to come up with 3 components that helped me overcome this breakup. I now call those components the 3-point stance of life. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with football, the 3-point stance is football's most fundamental stance or position. Regardless of what position you play on the team, every player has to learn how to get in the 3-point stance. So here it is, I'm at this point in my life, and I got to figure out what is it I have to do. So stance number 1, the first thing that I had to do, and the thing now that I teach all of my young athletes, is that they must find their purpose. And they must find it fast. See, one of the things that the late, great Dr. Miles Monroe told us is that the most tragic thing in life is not death, but it's living a life without purpose. So stance number 1, you must find your purpose fast. Now, this stance has meant more to me and my family over the last 2 years than it ever has. See, as a coach and a mentor, we spend hundreds of hours teaching young athletes the do's and the don'ts, the X's and the O's. But how often are we teaching them their why? See, 2 years ago, I was faced with the challenge or the task of teaching my own son his why. See, his junior year was laced with expectations and high hopes. But 2 weeks into the season, he tore his ACL. Now here we are, back at that same spot, asking the same question. What does one do when you put all of your hope, your mind, your soul, and your body into this relationship that is probably going to end sooner than you want it to end? Thankfully, because of great resources, great support, and stance number one, he got refocused, he regrouped, and now he's right now pursuing his degree in psychology. Now, he could have took that time off and used it to complain like most young people do when they're put in a situation where they have to manage their emotions when they're not playing anymore. But thankfully, because of stance number two, he didn't have to do that. Stance number two is what we teach and what we talk to our young people about, is that it is better to compete versus complain. Now, complaining takes less energy, so it's the easiest choice to take when things are not going our way. Now, competing, obviously it takes harder work, but we all know that hard work pays off. Now, competing versus complaining may not pay off with an NBA contract or NFL contract, but it could possibly pay off with a high-paying job or even a college degree. Competing versus complaining may not pay off in those cash or the valuables that we all desire, but I guarantee you it will pay off in long-term relationships, bonds, and friendships. It is these long-term relationships and these friendships that gives me an opportunity to segue into stance number three. Stance number three allowed one of my former teammates over 20 years ago to reach out to me, and he was transparent about where he was in his life at the time. Here we go. We have a 43-year-old former athlete who was open about where he was. He felt like he was in the wrong job. He felt like his life was going in the wrong direction. And he also felt as if he didn't have any hope or any desires to continue to live. But once again, thankfully, because of stance number one, stance two, and finally stance three, we were able to put him in a position to where now he's working on his first book to be able to teach and talk to other former athletes about the struggles. My question to you is, what can we do today to help a 19-year-old not be that 43-year-old? It is my charge to challenge each and every one of you listening that even though we're in the 21st century, there are a lot of young people right now still being left at the altar. These young athletes, these men and these women are not fully equipped with the tools that they desire, the tools that they deserve to be able to function in a life after not being able to play anymore. It is my quest, and I ask you to join me. It is my quest to be able to reevaluate the impact of not playing anymore and what it has and how it affects the mindset of our young athletes. We need to provide them with the resources that matter. We all need to realize that we must find our purpose fast. We must realize the importance of competing and not complaining. And lastly, stance number three is that we know that this life that we're running, this race that we're running, is not a sprint, but it's a marathon, and we must build our stamina. My question to you today, are you ready to get in your own three-point stance? We have 100 yards to go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's run the play. Thank you.